Hello and hi again to Dr. English YouTube channel. This is Dr. Mafi, a PhD in Applied Linguistics. And today's lesson is very important and necessary to learn. Well, I know that it sounds kind of scary or intimidating, or it is confusing to some, especially I'm talking about those people with their mother tongue or languages that don't enjoy the definite article there. In one of the other videos, if you refer to it, I called it indefinite article, a or an, right? Here we have the definite, not indefinite article, and that refers to the. There's only this word in English, which is the definite article. So there's only one word referred to as or known as the definite article in English, right? Okay, why do we use it in the first place? Definite, it means it is clear, absolute, and it refers to something that we know. We know about which we are talking about, right? So that's the first thing to know. And the second thing to know I want to mention here before we start, talking about the rules, the general common or most common rules of using the, is that we use this for either the singular or the plural nouns. Well, or we use it actually for either the countable nouns or uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns like time, daytime, we can use it, right, before it. Or we can use it before singular countable noun, or even before plural countable nouns, like the books, okay? Now, knowing this, let's talk about the rules, the most natural and the most common rules you can keep in mind every time you face a structure like this or a situation, a scenario, so that you would be able to know if you can use the before that noun or word or not. Let's start with the first one. Only one of a kind. If you are talking about those nouns, those names or nouns that exist actually in the world, and this is the only thing of its own kind, like the sun. We have our solar system, the Earth, Mars, Venus, and these planets, right? There's only one Earth, so you can say the Earth, or the moon, which belongs to the Earth, right? Or the sun. So there's only one sun in our solar system. Maybe there are lots of other stars and suns in the other galaxies, but we don't talk about them, right? But here in our solar system, we have only one sun that is known to us, and that is the sun, right? The sun. So we use the sun for that kind of noun. Number two, something which is known to both the listener and speaker. We know what we are talking about, right? For example, if I, tell or request to one of my students, would you please open the door or close the window, they know or I know what door or window I'm talking about, right? So their door usually pointing to that, right? So it would be their door. We know what door we're talking about. Number three, a noun mentioned for the second time. For example, I'm talking about the story of my life, or for example, I wrote a book, right? But the second time that I want to mention it, like the book that I wrote was in English or is in English, right? So the second time of reference or citing it is, preceded by that, right? Like the book. Number four, before superlative adjectives. If you remember, I have recorded one specific video for comparative and superlative adjectives. The base form of the adjective, the comparative, and the superlative forms of the adjective, right? So the superlative adjectives are always preceded by them. Like the best movie, for example, right? The most, for example, scary movie, right? The best, right? Or, for example, the hardest lesson I've ever, for example, come across, the hardest, okay? Number five, before musical instruments. Mostly, it's quite natural to use that before the musical instruments, the piano, the guitar, okay? Number six, before singular nouns, right? Or a singular noun representative of a class of thing or things, right? For example, the kiwi is a bird or is an animal, of course, or a bird, the kiwi. We are referring to that which is representative of a class of those things, right? Names of animals, plants, inventions, or even parts of the body, like we say the hand, the arm, right? Or for example, he hit me on the head. He hit me on the head as a part of a limb, right, the body. Well, before the case was centuries, for example, the 1700s, right, or the 90s or 1990s, right? We are referring to the decade, all right? That specific decade is used with or preceded by them. Well, number eight, before expressions of time and place, in the morning, right? In the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, right? Or the future, the past, the fall, the spring, we use with the. And also places like the north, the west, okay? Now we come to number nine, before ordinal numbers. What are ordinal numbers? Like the first, the second, the third, they're always preceded by the. in comparison with the cardinal numbers, number 1, 2, 3. They don't come with that. But ordinal numbers, we use there before them, all right? Like the fourth. Before, number 10, before a specific noun, like, for example, but not before a noun of definite quantity or quality. For example, if you're referring to something as general, generally speaking, we don't use that. Like, tea is imported into my country, right? Tea is imported into my country or exported out of my country, right? Tea. We don't say their tea, right? Or, for example, zinc is something which is mined from different mines, right? Zinc. We don't say their zinc, the copper, right? Or, but the tea that I drank this morning or a few minutes ago was good. The quality was good, high quality, right? So the tea, I'm specifying that kind of tea, that cup of tea that I drank this morning, okay? And also note my country, when we use the possessive adjectives, well, they replace the definite article there, right? So my country, instead of their country, for example. Sometimes we also use their country, meaning my country, or something else. Of course, we also have the expression their country, meaning something like a village, like out of town. That's another story. Well, number 11, before names of countries, states, colleges, including the word of, when they come with of, right? Like the United States of America. When there is the word of, we use there before them, right? The United States. Of course, note that we don't use the before proper nouns, such as the names of the countries, like America, Britain, right? England, China, South Korea, right? We don't use that before them because of proper nouns. We don't use anything before them. I'll explain that in the last item too. Or the University of Texas. The University of Texas. There is the word of in it, and actually we use that before it. But if you say Boston University or Tehran University, okay, we don't use that before them because they don't contain the word of, okay? That's a note. Number 12, before countries that have a plural name or an adjective before them, right? Like, for example, plural names like the Netherlands, the Maldives, the Philippines, the Netherlands, right? Well, probably because it consists of many places or islands or something like that, you know, they use the that before it, and also the plural form. Except for Britain. Although Britain has an adjective before Britain, it doesn't take the, right? Okay, now we come up to number 13. Before names of oceans, rivers, seas, gulfs, whether it's singular or plural, doesn't matter, right? The Pacific Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, we use them. And plural names of, only plural names, not singular names, of mountains, islands, and lakes. These three things, they should be plural if we use dead before them, like the Rocky Mountains in America, in Colorado, in the state of Colorado, right? The Rocky Mountains, we say, okay? Rocky Mountains, plural form. But Mount Everest, there's only one Mount Everest, which is the highest mountain in the world, right? So we don't use that before it, okay? Now 14, before geographic names, such as the Middle East, the East, the West, you know? Well, but not before names of continents or countries like Asia and Japan. I explained about that before too, like in number 11. 15, before names of fields of study with, again, of, right? The history of America, right? But when you say physics, history, chemistry, the names of the fields of study without of, alone, nothing, no that, all right? But not alone, history. Number 16, before names of wars, like the Civil War. Everybody knows what war we are talking about, the Civil War in America, you know? Or the Second World War, the Second World War, the First World War. And some people think of the Third World War. I hope that it never happens. All right, but World War II, World War I, it doesn't take that. Be careful. Okay, and now the final one. Before names of ships, planes, trains, people's family names. For example, the Titanic, everybody knows what happened actually to that big ship, you know, shipping lots of people or transporting lots of people transatlantically, you know, like actually from Europe to America. Well, we say the Titanic because it's been known and you know, referred to by many people so that to specify it, or in order to specify it. Or the Smith, the family names. Actually, we are referring to both Mr. and Mrs. Smith and the whole family and their children, right? The Smith. And note that when they comes before the family name names takes S at the end, meaning like all of the members of the family, all right? But not before proper nouns, as I said, like God, for example, or first or last names, like Albert Einstein. Whether it's first name or last name, doesn't matter. It doesn't take any name, right? Or Ms. Smith, right? This is another note that I underlined when we use the title Ms., Mr., Mrs. Again, we don't use the definite article the. Don't forget it, okay? Of course, I recorded a video for you about the titles, and let me know what you think over there too. So these are basically the general ideas. It gives you a general idea about how or when to use the definite article the and not to use it, okay? Thank you very much for watching again, and you know what to do. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up.